there's nobody needs to get the key, right? Nobody needs to show a property. You don't need to estimate repairs for roof damage, foundation damages, mold, plumbing, kitchen, and none of that stuff. And because we're dealing in that price range that is usually below $100,000, and then we only typically we're offering on our typical land deals, except for the infill lots, which we pay a little more. We only offer 5 to 25 cents on the dollar. We don't need financing. So we did 4,000 plus deals already. We never had to actually go to a bank and ask for financing for a single deal. Because in the first deal, we started with nothing. The first deal we made $3,600. The next deal we made $9,500. The next deal we made $28,000. The next deal we made $2,500. Then we've done some deals where we made $900, but we also made deals where we made $86,000, right? But you do a bunch of these deals and then you start doing them with seller financing, where you buy a property for $2,000, sell it for $20,000 with a $3,000 down payment. You get more as a down payment than what you paid for the property. And now you get cash flow. So we started building up cash flow. And within 10 months, we were debt free and we were able to quit our jobs. By that time, our green card had arrived and we are now permanent residents of the United States. And we were able to quit those jobs that we didn't like in the first place. And then 8 months after that, we were officially millionaires. Wow. So it took 18 months from 0 to $1 million.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. With Dwaine Clarke, we have a special guest on, the original expert of land investment, Jack Bosch from Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Like we had mentioned before, previously, me coming from net lease and retail side investments, I don't know much about land. And so I decided to get the number one expert in this field to talk to us about how he got started, his process of acquiring and flipping land, and also other things that he's up to as well that we can learn. So thank you again, Jack, and how are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for having me, Dwaine. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so can you just tell us kind of like your background story of how you became to be and how you get into land and you're kind of like heading towards what you're doing now?
Sure, would love to. So first of all, I can probably hear from my accent that I'm from a country not far away from your wife's, right? So I understand your wife is from Slovenia. I'm from Germany. So Slovenia, Germany is, I think, just like either bordering or just one country in between. I grew up born and raised in Germany, spent the first 27 years of my life over there. And then I came to the United States because I kind of re-entered college and I wanted to finish my college degree, and I had the chance to do that in the US. And I came here and I fell in love with the country, and also coincidentally met a lovely young lady that kind of fell in love with, and not kind of, like totally, head over heels, right? And we both tried to figure this out because she is from Honduras, Central America. And so we basically decided, let's stay here. She's an immigrant. She was there for college. I was there for college. So we said, like, let's stay in this country, try to make this work. And long story short, we both got jobs. We both worked hard. We went through the green card process. Took 5.5 years to get the green card. Mm-hmm. And we are still together. We're married almost 18 years now, have an 11-year-old daughter, happy as can be, and we're very happy that the things worked out. So from that point of view, from the business point of view, I entered an industry that I literally applied. We were 10 Germans in this college in Illinois, and all 10 tried to stay in the US. All 10 of them applied for jobs. I was the only lucky one who got a job. And I only got the job because I had kind of working experience in that field in Germany before, as a student worker and as kind of like part-time worker and thing. So I was able to get that job in a software company, even though I really know nothing about software. I was like, I was in the business department and business analyst and stuff like that. But luckily I got a job, but it came unfortunately with 100% travel. So I was traveling from Monday to Friday. Monday, 5 a.m., I would leave, go to the airport, fly somewhere, stay in some Holiday Inn Express in the outskirts of town, work until midnight every night. So not glamorous, not fun, bad food. I mean, restaurant food all day long. And I ended up gaining like 20 pounds in like a year or so. And I just hated everything about it. And so halfway through, on top of it, this company went through a big layoff period, and it just became scary, and we realized we needed to do something about our lives because we need to find a plan B that once that green card, once that permanent residency would arrive, we could actually transition into a plan A. So we started looking around and found real estate.
How did you kind of find real estate besides other stuff that you can do out there?
You know what? I literally watched an infomercial at night. And I didn't buy their program. Actually, later on, I did one of the basic $50 programs or so. They're kind of entry-level things. And because we had at that time already found a deal and we had no contracts, no paperwork, nothing. So we used that $50 deal that had a contract in it, used their contract to actually get the deal done. And then with the money, we went to an attorney and had them draw up our own proper contracts. But real estate was kind of just something. It just caught my attention. I mean, I was looking for something that I could do part-time, that I could do from a distance, that I could do without having much money up front. And, that's all the kind of keywords that these gurus kind of hit, like make money with no time, no, even if you have bad credit, no money, and then your dog is sick or whatever it is, something like that, like those kind of things. And I found we didn't go down through the full path of buying a bunch of stuff, but we're just like, it just perked up our ears, and we're just like, real estate, you can buy something and make $10,000 in the process. Yeah. How does that work? And that's just triggered us to study, because they understood it's never as easy as they say it is, right? But course, so you gotta study, you gotta do something. So we bought some books and started reading and started learning the terminology, and that's just how we kind of got started.
Was it like house flipping, wholesaling? What?
It was a house flipping kind of more. I think it was wholesaling, and we tried wholesaling. We actually used that method then to find a triplex. Found a triplex in a bad part of town that we could get for $45,000, and we're trying to flip it. And the problem was we knew nothing about real estate, like really zero. Because when you come from another country, it's not like you know a bunch of stuff. You know nothing. You don't know the terminology. You don't know how the stuff is being built. So it's like they use drywall. Well, in Germany they use bricks, right? So it's like, what is drywall? Is there wet wall? I mean, what is this? What is a 2x4? Right? Mm-hmm. Why do they put chicken wire around the house once they put styrofoam on? I mean, it's just like, just doesn't make sense, right? So we just learned, and the terminologies is like they have. I mean, there's still to this day, there's sometimes words that I hear in real estate that I have never heard. But the nice part is when you focus on land flipping, just like we flip land like other people flip houses, but just without the house on it. So therefore, the entire world of house flipping knowledge is irrelevant to us, because we don't need to know how much it costs to resurface or repair or replace a bathtub. Mm-hmm. We don't need to know how much it costs to remediate mold, because there is no mold on land. Mm-hmm. Right? We don't need to know how much it costs to fix trusses in the attic. Right? Now, I didn't even know the word trusses or attic. I didn't even know what that was. Right? Because coming from Germany, you come with no knowledge of that stuff. And so, because if there's a piece of land and you can pick that piece of land up for 10 cents on the dollar, you can find somebody who pays you 50 cents on the dollar, and you just go flip it and you make 5 times your money, and there was no house involved. So we started with that wholesale deal, and the problem was that it probably needed $100,000 worth of rehab. But we didn't know that. So we just thought it was worth $80,000, $90,000. We could get it for 45. We marked it up by $5,000, tried to sell it. Nobody would buy it. And now I understand why. Back then I didn't. So we just backed out of the deal, freaked out, and says like, well, this house stuff is not for us. What else can we do? And then we stumbled on land.
So like what kind of, I mean, land is not like the first thing you think of, like, oh, I'm getting into real estate. Everyone thinks of, flip this house, all these TV shows, they think of a physical house. So like, and I know, and when I got into it, I first got into the house flipping stuff. So land is so unique, even though it's like, it's always been there and people's been doing it. And of course you're one of the originators of, kind of perfecting this technique. So how did you kind of like, did you stumble on it, or did you just say, hey, how about land? Let's try this and check it out? Well,
what we stumbled on next was actually, so after we freaked out in this first deal, what we stumbled on next was a concept that I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm looking at it right here on my bookshelf. And it's somewhere 2/3 through the book, Robert Kiyosaki talks to his neighbor about investing in tax liens. I was like, again, in a word I'd never heard in my life. So it's like, what is a tax lien? And what's the deal with that? So we started looking into tax liens and started realizing that Arizona, where we live, is a tax lien state. So went down to the county and bought some tax liens and bought like, I don't know, a couple $1,000s worth of tax liens. And we realized that 3 weeks later, they were all redeemed. So the owners paid the back taxes back. And then we got like $3.72 in interest. And we're like, okay, that's not really the way to go for us either, because in tax liens, if you understand how it works, somebody stops paying the property taxes, and the state, instead of selling the property, which California and Florida and other states do, Texas and so on, they do that. The state says, I want the money from taxes. So they issue a lien against the property for the unpaid property taxes, and an investor can buy that lien. And then the investor gets anywhere between 12 and 36% interest, depending on which state it is and what the rules are. Arizona at 16%. So it's like 16% sounds good, but I really wanted the property. So I bought a tax lien, and 3 weeks later they paid off the property. And I realized, well, in order for me to make money off the 16%, I got to invest like $1 million.
Yeah.
All right, so I make 160 grand. That's okay. That's good. That's a really good money. That's 4 times what I made in my job, right? So even $500,000, $80,000, I'll take that, right? But I didn't have $500,000. I had $3,000. That's all my savings. So it's like, I can't really do that. And then I realized that most liens are paid off, and you very rarely end up with a property. But something else caught our eye, and something else that was that the fact that there are people who stop paying property taxes, just that fact blew us away. Because why in the world would somebody not take that property, put it up on the market and sell it at a discount and just get rid of it, right? And make something out of it. Well, we came to the realization that there's just people that put their head in the sand, or that have passed away, or that inherited the property. They just don't want to deal with it. So we just thought to ourselves, what do? Couldn't we? And one day we realized, what if we just contact them? What if we don't attend the auction? Because if what we really want is the property, what if instead of not attending the auction, instead of attending the auction, where there's a bunch of competition and everything, why don't we just send them a letter? So we drew up a letter and we sent it out 900 times, and we got like 1 response. And that guy ended up owing more property taxes than the property was even worth.
Wow.
We're like, okay, well but that gave us actually hope, because at least they responded. But then we tweaked the letter and tried it again and again. And all of a sudden we got it right. And we sent out 400 letters, and we got something like 40 people calling us back.
Wow.
And you know what? 40 people called us back, and 40 of them owned land. So I don't know why to this day. I never really looked into that, but it seems like just the people with the land are calling you way more than the people with the houses. And I know why. It's because they're just paying property taxes on something that doesn't provide income. If it's a house, they might have it rented and so on. It's an income. They're not as willing to let it go. But the land, they're like letting it go. So we're like, okay. So the first deal came in. We paid $400 for a property worth $8,000. And we was a guy, he just wanted to move away. He just got divorced. He didn't want to leave anything behind, like kind of like garage sale mentality. And it's just like, if you guys want to have the property, just make me an offer. And we're like, okay, well, in order to be really safe, because we didn't know what to do with land, right? We had no experience. We're like, well, it's making $400. It's worth 8,000. We did some comparable analysis, and it was like it's worth 8 to 10. So at $400, that's 5% of market value. I mean, the worst case scenario is somebody's going to offer us $1,000 for it, right? At least we make our money back.
Mm-hmm.
So we made a $400 offer, and we literally sold it to the neighbor across the street that same day for $4,000.
Wow.
And we're like, okay.
What did the neighbor do it? Use it for? Did he use it to build something, or he just use it for like extra space?
Actually, very interesting, and that actually goes to show that we always think people want to build on houses, but that's not build on lots, and that's not always the case. In that case, one of the issues on that property was, and that was one of the reasons the seller wanted to sell it, is that he had done what's called the percolation test. And the percolation test is where they dig a bunch of holes into the ground, they pour water in it, and they measure how fast the water sinks in, right? And if the water sinks in fast enough, then then you can put a house on it and a septic system and stuff like that. And this property, though, the water was not sinking in fast enough, so you couldn't put a regular septic system on there. You would have to put in what's called a sand filtered or hydraulic septic system on there, which costs much more. And that was one of the reasons why the seller also said, like, yeah, I would have kept it, but I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have it. Well, we still figured out that even with that handicap, the property was still worth about $8,000. So we went and we basically made so we sold it for $4,000. What did the seller do with it? He literally went and used it as a driveway, because what he wanted, he actually is like, here's his house, here's a road. I don't know, do we do this in audio and video or only audio?
Oh, audio video, yeah.
Audio video, okay. So if you're watching this on video, you can see it. If you're listening to the audio, basically, the lot was across the street from the guy that we sold it. So there's his house, there's a road, and there was the lot. But behind the lot, there was a fence, and behind that fence was a farm. That guy owned the farm. And right now, the only way to get to his farm was by take the road a mile all around the entire neighborhood and go around to the only other entry to the farm, and then get to his farm from there. But with this lot, he could put a gate onto the fence behind the lot and use the lot as a driveway from his house, and within basically 100 feet, he was on his farm. So he never wanted to build on it. He didn't care a bit if it passed the percolation test or not. All he wanted to do was have a driveway for his farm.
Wow.
So that was
you just solved that person's problem right there, and like,
yeah.
So did
exactly.
you had like a sign up, or how did the buyer find out about it?
Well, I drove up there and I put a sign on the property because I live about 3 hours away, and that was the first. Nowadays we do it all virtually, but we have people in Germany do deals in the United States without ever having been to the United States before.
Wow.
But in that case, since it was the first deal, we didn't know any better. We just drove up there and we bought a Walmart the sign and a stick, and we glued it and taped it around, and we did marker and wrote down our number. Wow. We basically just hammered that sign into the ground there, and he just opened his front door and he walked across the street with his cowboy hat and his thing, and it's just like, hey son, what are you doing there? and we ended up buying our property for it 10 times what we bought it for. Wow.
So like besides for that case, you mentioned builders as well, like because I'm just trying to wrap my head around like the end user, because like flipping a house, someone's going to buy it, renovate it, and sell it to a end user. So what is like the typical, like say in your case or your student's case, as far as like who are they trading these properties to, or who's buying these properties on most of the time?
Great question. So we focus on three. Over time, we figured out that there's three kinds of properties that sell the fastest and have the most buyers interested, and also where there's a lot of them out there that you can focus on. And property number one is infill lots. So infill lots, like in that place, there was a smaller community, but still it was a growing community. So there was a lot where you could have put a house on there, but the neighbor wanted to use it as a driveway. But then other properties, like basically, if you take a bigger city, a growing city, you have a street, there's like there's 35 houses and there's 2 or 3 empty lots. Well, these empty lots are highly sought after by builders. Builders come buy these lots, build a spec home on. So if the neighborhood is a $250,000 neighborhood, and the lots are worth, let's say, $60,000, $60,000 or $70,000. Somebody comes in, and for another $130,000, they're going to put up a house, a smaller house, like a 1,300 square foot house, basic starter home. They built these houses for under $100 a square foot. So they built it for like $80, $90 a square foot. They put a house up there, some nice finishes. So with the land and the house, they paid about $190,000, let's say $1,000 for that, and they go sell it for $250,000 to $270,000, and they make a nice profit. So these guys are willing to buy these lots at $60,000, $70,000 in a moment. So we find these lots. We buy, those are the ones you have to pay a little more for. So we buy those perhaps at half price. We buy them at $30,000, or put them on a contract at $30,000. Go flip them to a builder the next day for $60,000, and the builder then builds a house on them.
Wow.
So there you have your built-in market in terms of builders. The second kind of property we focus on is what we call the path of growth. So you imagine there's a city, a larger city, it's like 500,000, 1 million or so, and that's growing. And right outside of that city, there's usually a whole bunch of land that's usually not farmland, it's just land, where the acre is worth $30,000, $40,000, but in the city the acre is worth $500,000, right? Or $300,000. So it's like a tenth of the market value, 30, 40 on there. But they're great properties for 2 kinds of buyers. Buyer number 1 is a financial buyer. It's basically somebody who buys these properties to just own them and let the city approach. Because if this is like 5 miles outside of the city's growing. What's going to happen in 10 years from now, 15 years from now? The city has grown, has bridged those 5 miles. The city has engulfed this area. Now this lot that he bought for $30,000 or $40,000, and that we picked up for $5,000, by the way, $5,000 or $10,000, and then this lot is now worth $300,000. So it's an appreciation strategy that these buyers do. They're sick and tired of the fluctuations of the stock market. They're taking the properties from there. They're taking their money off there, and they're parking it in path of growth land. It's almost like land banking. The second kind of buyer is somebody who is soon there's on a retirement path. They're about 5 to 10 years away from retirement, and they realize that they don't have enough money off to the sideline. So they can't afford to live in the city because the city is too expensive, but they can afford perhaps buying a piece of land, paying it off in monthly payments, because we sell a lot of our land with seller carryback, seller financing. So you buy a property for $5,000 that's worth $30,000, you sell it for $30,000 with a $5,000 down payment and monthly payments of $500 for the next 10 years. So these people are able to pay off these lots with affordable payments, and then once they're paid off, they put a small house or a mobile home on there. Now they're living off Social Security. They're making $2,000 a month from Social Security, and they actually have a decent lifestyle because their lot is paid off and their house is paid off.
Wow.
Right? So you're providing a value service, and you're providing cash flow from land, which is something we might talk about a little more. The third kind of property is like large acreage in the rural areas. So I'm talking an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours away from the big cities, where there's something of fun, like fun that you can do. Like here in Arizona, 2 hours north is Flagstaff. Flagstaff is in summer 78 degrees, when in Phoenix it's 110 degrees. So people that can afford it, they buy stuff in Flagstaff, they go buy something, they take a camper, RV out there, build a cabin or something, but they want to be away from the city when it's so brutally hot down here. And in winter, there's skiing areas up there. There's a skiing area, 2 skiing areas in northern Arizona that you can go skiing, and they're not the world's greatest, but they're nice skiing areas. The same thing if you're in Denver, Colorado. You can go buy stuff in the Rockies to spend your summers and go winter skiing and stuff like that. If you're in Branson, Missouri, right? You go it's a middle of nowhere kind of place, but there is entertainment and movies and shows and stuff like that, and theater there, and you can have 10 acres in the area, and people like to either retire there or they like something for the weekend to get away. So it's the RV people that buy it, it's the ATV people, the hikers, the campers, the motorists, the dirt bikers, all this kind of stuff. They love these kind of properties. So we focus in on these 3 kinds of properties as our target market, and we're doing really well with those.
Wow. So how are you finding that? Are you just, I know you said sending letters, and any other ways you contact
We are
them?
doing direct mail. A few of our students, since we're teaching this now too, have started doing really sophisticated websites, but that's not something we do. So they started, but most that our very traditional path is to send direct mail. But the difference is, and that's a big difference to the house flippers. The house flippers, I just came back from a mastermind where I met with a whole bunch of really, really high level house flippers that do, like, some of them do 300-400 deals a year.
Mm.
And they told me that they have to send out 10,000 mail pieces
Wow.
to get one deal.
Wow.
Well, our students on average sends out 300 to 500 mail pieces to get a deal. And the profits that they're making are the same. So it doesn't make sense for me to go after houses and spend 10,000 mail pieces to get a deal when I can spend, if I send 10,000 mail pieces, one of our students, he sent out 7,000 mail pieces. He got 35 deals from that.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, that's better than sending 10,000 and getting one deal. Like the cumulative profits of these 35 deals is like 20 times or 30 times more than this one deal over there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so that's what we use. It works like a charm. Why change what works? Right? It works. It worked in 2003 when we started. It worked in 2007 when the market was an all-time high. It worked in 2009 when the market was an all-time low. It worked in 2011 when the market was still low. It worked in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 as the market recovered. And it works better today than it ever has. It is absolutely, it works like crazy. We have a Facebook group where our students are posting deals literally almost on a daily basis.
Wow. And as far as like these people finding their end users, is it the internet, or they also, like, how are they finding
the buyers, how we sell these properties? Yeah, we sell these properties nowadays using, it's such a beautiful world right now because there's so many different ways that you can sell properties. So one of them, the old-fashioned way, of course, always works. Like, you can hire somebody on Craigslist for a few bucks to go put up a sign on your property, and signs still work. Mm-hmm. But the majority of our properties we sell online by posting them on Craigslist, on Zillow, on Trulia, on Redfin, on Landwatch, on Lands of America, on Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace has been exploding in the last half a year in terms of how many people we get interested in buying the properties.
Wow.
So when you do those things, all those things I mentioned, you do that from home. So I sit here, this is my home office. I sit here, and usually in my jammies, I dressed up for you, but usually in my jammies, and we do everything from here. I mean, I don't even leave the house anymore. We have the dry cleaners drop off stuff. We have the food. Now happens everything online, right? You go on Instacart and you order food from the Whole Foods, ready to be brought. I mean, groceries be brought to the house. You got the cleaners come to the house. You got the dry cleaners come to the house. I don't even have to leave the house for anything anymore, including our land flipping, because you can do everything from at home.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it, like with land, I mean, there's no building to look at. So now with the technology, like you were saying, you can, I use Google Earth all the time to look at my deal. I do net lease because none of my clients go look at deals, and I don't go look at them, and we expect the building to be there. So you just look at the map and there you go. But you're looking at a piece of land, so
nobody needs to get the key, right? Nobody needs to show a property. You don't need to estimate repairs for roof damage, foundation damages, mold, plumbing, kitchen, and none of that stuff. And because we're dealing in that price range that is usually below $100,000, and then we only typically we're offering on our typical land deals, except for the infill lots, which we pay a little more. We only offer 5 to 25 cents on the dollar. We don't need financing. So we did 4,000 plus deals already. We never had to actually go to a bank and ask for financing for a single deal. Because in the first deal, we started with nothing. The first deal we made $3,600. The next deal we made $9,500. The next deal we made $28,000. The next deal we made $2,500. Then we've done some deals where we made $900, but we also made deals where we made $86,000, right? But you do a bunch of these deals, and then you start doing them with seller financing, where you buy a property for $2,000, sell it for $20,000 with a $3,000 down payment. You get more as a down payment than what you paid for the property. And now you get cash flow. So we started building up cash flow. And within 10 months, we were debt free and we were able to quit our jobs. By that time, our green card had arrived and we are now permanent residents of the United States. And we were able to quit those jobs that we didn't like in the first place. And then 8 months after that, we were officially millionaires. Wow. So it took 18 months from 0 to $1 million. Yeah.
Oh,
and now we have students actually beating us to that.
Wow. You had mentioned the seller financing. I think that's very interesting. Could you be able to dig a little deeper on how that works? So
in essence, as I alluded to earlier, just a moment ago, most of the properties, they're worth below $100,000 are actually owned free and clear by the owners. And that is because the banks usually don't like to lend on land, particularly if it's in the outskirts of town or in rural areas. They don't go there. They give you a construction loan on an infill lot, but they don't lend you $80,000 on a $100,000 property in the outskirts of town. Banks just don't operate like that. They don't do that. If you know a bank that does that, let me know. But most banks don't. So as a result, when somebody bought these properties, when the owners bought these properties 20, 30, 40 years ago, and many times they've had them in the family for that long, and dad or mom, they just don't want the property anymore. The kids don't want them, so they're willing to give them away for almost nothing. But so we pick up these properties for 10, 15, 20 cents on the dollar. Let's say we pick up a $50,000 property for $10,000. Well, we have two choices on how to sell this property. Three choices, but we can sell it for $50,000 all cash, but it's going to take a long time to sell it at that price because not that many people just have $50,000 to give you. Mm-hmm. The other option to sell it is to sell it at half price, sell it at 25 grand as a wholesale deal. Now it's an incredible offer, and people are going to be like, "Whoa, this property is worth 50. I get it for 25." They find the money to pay you the money, so you do a wholesale deal, classic wholesale deal, right? Mm-hmm. On top of it, you can even do it such that you don't even buy it. You do double closing, assignment, all these kind of things that the wholesalers do. But then the third way that you can do this that actually multiplies your profits is you do sell it for $50,000, but you don't ask for it all cash. You say, hey, this property is worth $50,000. I'm selling it to you for $50,000, but I'm selling it to you with a $10,000 down payment, 20% down, and monthly payments of $600 for the next 8 years. Mm. And there's many more people, and that's perhaps a bad example, but let's say you pick up a $30,000 property that you buy for $3,000. Can you sell that thing for $30,000 and ask for a 12, 13% down payment of $4,000? Right? That's not that bad. Mm-hmm. Most people have $4,000 to be able to do as a down payment. Mm-hmm. Right? So, or they can borrow it, or they have it in a savings account, or wherever it is. So if you sell a property, it's worth $30,000 that you buy for $3,000, you can sell it for $15,000 and make a $12,000 or quick cash flow to make a $12,000 cash profit, or you can sell it for $30,000 with a $4,000 down payment. So you now get more as a down payment than you even have to pay the seller. So you end up, when the moment you sell the property, you have $1,000 in your pocket, and now they owe you still $26,000, right? Because you sold it at $30,000, but they only gave you $4,000 down, so they still owe you $26,000, and you write that up in a note, right? And then they pay you on a monthly basis, let's say $400 for the next 8 years, and that's pure cash flow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because there's no repairs. It's not rent. It's seller financing. Yeah. They're paying it off. There's no kitchens to repair. There's no plumbing to repair. There's no basements to repair. There's nothing to do on these properties. They just make payments. And and if you add it up, $26,000 over 8 years plus interest is something like, the total amount that they pay you is something around $40,000.
Wow.
So you bought something for $3,000 and you end up getting a $40,000 profit on that deal. Mm. Now, of course, it comes out over 8 years and so on, but those are deals like literally, like 2 days ago, we signed the paperwork for a deal that we bought for $5,000. We sold it for $63,000 with a $3,500 down payment. So we're not getting all the money back. I still have to, I pay $5,000 and I get $3,500 back. I'm $1,500 out. but we're getting over $550 a month in monthly payments on that property. So within 3 months, I have all my money back.
Wow.
And the rest for the next 20 years, it's a 20-year note. For the next 20 years, I'm getting $550 a month, which adds up to over $120,000 that we're making on a property that we paid $5,000 for.
Wow. Yeah, I can't think of, I mean, of course you can structure some other way, but like that's just amazing type of to get your return back that quickly.
Yeah.
And to continue to get cash flow continuously.
Yeah. Now, having said that, this is not our standard deal, right? The 5,000 to 63,000, that was like, we only have like perhaps 3 to 5 deals like that, or 5 to 10 deals like that a year. Mm-hmm. But that's enough, right?
Yeah.
You do 10 deals like that a year, you have $5,000 a month coming in income. That's enough for most people to quit their jobs. And it took you nothing, but the standard deals are more like you buy something for $1,500 and you sell it for $10,000. That's a more standard kind of seller financing deal, and then they pay you like $250 a month for 4 years. Mm-hmm. But that's still nice. Mm-hmm. That's still nice.
Wow. So you threw out like a lot of different numbers from depending on if it's infill or city or so. How do you structure your what are you going to offer on the number?
Right. So we have created a little guideline as a software, basically a mini software that our students get to use too in the course that they buy. And basically you just plug in the value, the market value. So the key is all finding out what the property is worth, which actually is just as easy in land as it is in houses. There's just 5 different ways you can do it. And as soon as you got into a ballpark value of the property, you don't have to be exact. You just plug that number into that little software and it tells you what to offer. So, but the science behind it, it's kind of a sliding scale. Basically, if we have a property that's only a piece of land that's being offered to us, it's only worth like $4,000. Nowadays, I don't even do those deals anymore. But if I were to, I probably only offer them 5 cents on the dollar because I have to buy a $4,000 property at $200. Because after considering a few $100s in closing costs, and after considering a little bit marketing effort, and perhaps me selling it at a discount, I might only be able to sell this thing for $2,500. So I end up making $1,800 on the deal. I cannot afford to pay this guy $2,000 for the property, and then selling it for $2,800 and making after closing costs $300. It doesn't make sense. So these low-end properties, which we personally don't even deal with anymore, you make 5% offers, 5% of market value. As the value goes up of these properties, the percentage that you offer also goes up. So if somebody comes and offers us a $100,000 property, I might offer them 25 or 30% off the value of that property. In other words, I might offer them $30,000 on the property because it's pretty much clear that they're not going to accept the $200 offer for a $100,000 property. They're not going to probably even accept the $5,000, which would be 5%, $5,000 offer. So I got to go higher in both dollars as well as in percentage of market value. So it's a sliding scale. The more the value, the higher the percentage. So that people get a chunk of money, because if somebody truly doesn't want their $80,000 or $100,000 property and we offer them 25 grand for it, that's a good amount of money. They're gonna be like, I can buy a new car with that. Exactly. And they go and they take the deal, and the same thing on the $20,000 property. I might offer $3,000 or $4,000 on that thing, so in the 15 to 20% range, because somebody's like 20 grand property. My grandfather had it. I inherited it. I have to pay property taxes. I don't want it. I don't even care what it's worth. But they offer me $3,800 for it. I mean, I can go on a vacation with that. I can go repair my car with that. I can get some furniture with that, right? I can get a motorbike with that. Yeah, let's do that. So it makes sense to them versus a $500 offer at that level probably doesn't make sense.
Oh, so you do Arizona. What are kind of the states that you're targeting for your personal business, and where are some of your students, sending out, marketing for deals? Okay.
So our students are doing deals all over the country. Personally, even though I live in Arizona, I've done deals in 70. We have done deals. I say we because my wife and I were integral partners in our business.
Well, you better make sure you say that.
Yeah, we have done deals in 17 states. I think over 100 counties. and 50 or 100 counties, and all the way from Hawaii all the way to Florida.
Wow.
So this is the message here. This is the beauty of this. You can do this part-time, because we started it part-time, because there's nothing to look at. And you don't have to, like, doing a rehab part-time, it's going to be hard, because you're going to get ripped off by the contractors all the time. They're going to tell you, I'll do them. We noticed that. We have rental properties now, and all those rental properties, people are constantly trying to rip us off. Like, even on the house, we just moved into a new house, and the old house, which is only a 20-minute drive away from here. The company, we had the floors kind of cleaned, and all of a sudden they suggested that we do another $7,000 worth of stuff because what we did apparently harmed the tile. No, we went up there yesterday. We brought a mop. We mopped the floors. The floors look great. They're just trying to rip you off because you're not there.
Yeah.
Right? But in land, there's nothing to rip off. There's nothing to look at. As you said, we use Google Maps, Google Earth. Take a Google Street View, right? You drive right up to you have the little person, right, with a camera, go right up in front of the street on Google Street View, take a picture. You have everything you need to look at these properties. All the information about value and stuff is all online. It's all available there. You don't have to be doing this in person. You can literally do this virtually.
What are some of the kind of the lesson that you learned over your course of business and real estate and stuff like that that helped you get to your point today, and that you can give advice to people kind of starting out and getting into this?
What I learned mainly is that there's many ways to skin this cat of real estate. There's many ways of doing real estate. You're doing triple net, right? And things like that. There's rehabbers, wholesalers. There's commercial property, apartment complexes. There's seller financing guys that buy houses and sell them with seller financing. And there's all these different techniques out there that the key is inform yourself about techniques that are out there, get a few programs, get a few things, engulf yourself. But at the end of the day, most importantly, find something that you really like, that you really enjoy, right? Something that also has a level of complexity that you can grab your arms around. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I always say that now we also buy apartment complexes. So we bought 246 apartment units in the last 9 months. And these deals are about 3.2 million times more complicated than a land deal. Because there's nothing to a land deal. I mean, it's the simplest way. It's a simplification of real estate, really. Mm-hmm. Especially when you flip them the same way you flip houses. You don't hold on to them. You don't entitle them. You don't build out to them. You don't make plans on them. You don't rezone them. You don't do all this stuff. You just buy a property at 10 cents on the dollar, flip it for 70 cents on the dollar to somebody else. Make 7 times your money, 5 times your money, to twice your money, whatever it is. Make a profit, move on to the next deal. Anyone can do this. But the thing is, that's why it was appealing to us. Because back then, if somebody would have come to me with an apartment complex deal, I would have been screaming the other way, because I had no idea, not even a mental framework to fit this into my life. Mm-hmm. I would have not been able to do it. Neither would have Michelle. We would have been just like, look, I don't know. We would have not been comfortable with it. We would have not even been able to conceive a number of like $7.5 million purchase, having to raise $2.5 million from investors. I mean, this is just like, to me, that would have been mind-blowing, crazy, complicated stuff. Well, now we just have done it, mm-hmm. Right? But what happened? We started with something simple that we could wrap our brain around. We gained confidence and capability through that. We gained experience through that. We gained self-confidence in that. We started doing bigger deals, more deals, different deals, started adding houses to it, and started growing into the field of real estate. And then the complicated parts are not so complicated anymore. So my advice to a beginner is pick something that you can get active and successful very quickly. I know for a fact, if you want to start in apartment complexes today, good luck. It took me 1.5 years to find my first deal. Mm. Right? And we had to hire somebody full time to go work the brokers to find our first apartment deal. right? So if somebody just wants to go and start it, they got to be for a long breath. But many of our students, they get their first deal done in land within as little as 30 days. Sometimes if they don't drop the ball, they can get a deal done perhaps in 30 days. But usually in 2-3 months, you are very often have your first deal. I mean, we have a coaching students that started on January 23rd, and on March 23rd, he had his first deal with income.
Wow.
Coming in, like 2 months. And the first deal made quickly $500 a month, but he's also going to sell that. That's going to end up making $20,000 on that deal alone. Mm-hmm. So the point is, pick something that you can get to success quickly, because the danger in all this real estate thing is that you throw a bunch of money at it. It's too complicated. It's too many things, too confusing. And that's where I see a lot of people failing. And then they go and they give the industry a bad rap because they're basically saying like, well, I tried this and it didn't work.
Yeah.
No, they picked the wrong method for themselves at the time, that they didn't have the skill set at the time and the mindset to actually do. So pick something that you can manage and you can get done.
Oh, very good. So as far as like educating yourself, of course, listening to you and buying courses and reading books. How about mentorship? How important is that, as getting a mentor or a coach to kind of help you lessen the way to path to success? What do you think?
I mean, to me, it's crucial. It's crucial, and I know this because the very first time we didn't do it. So we figured out this land flipping system on our own. Right? So it took us 3 years to figure it out. Now think about it. If there would have been somebody around that would have showed us the ropes, we could have done this in 3 months or 6 months. Right? Let's say 6 months. We could have gotten to the point that we were 3 years later in 6 months. Can you imagine how much more money we would have made in 2.5 years that we wasted because we didn't have the help? Now, back then, there was no help. There was nobody teaching land. But in other methods, it's the same thing. Now, when we started doing house flips, I went to experienced house flippers, and I learned from them. I paid for their mentorship. When we started apartment complex, right, we partnered up with a friend of us. His price for mentorship was that we needed to put up the $80,000 as escrow deposit for that deal. If that deal would have fallen apart, we would have lost the $80,000, right? So he didn't technically charge us for mentorship, but he basically, we had to come up with $80,000 on that deal in order to come to the table and play, for him to even show us how this works. And that was after having real estate experience for 13 years already. Right? It's just another way of real estate. So even within real estate, if you switch gears, mentorship is crucial. I mean, look at it. Tiger Woods, he's coming back now, right? He's won some tournaments or been in the last 2 or 3. I mean, they have a swing coach, they have a strength coach. I used to be, as a college student in Germany, I used to work as a cable guy in the television crew. Like they had certain sports shows, soccer or tennis. They had the Tennis Davis Cup come up, which is like countries playing against each other, if you're not familiar with it. And Germany was playing, and I was the guy running behind the guy. Back then, there were not wireless cameras; they had a cable. So I was the guy running and making sure the camera guy had enough slack. Oh, it was fine. I was getting paid like $15 an hour, and I was get to be at these sports events that I otherwise only see on TV. But what I noticed, there's a guy called Boris Becker, very famous tennis player back in the 80s, 90s, and probably 80s, 90s. Number 1 in the world, German guy. And he was playing for Germany. He had 4 coaches with him. Now, he was number 1 in the world during that time. Yeah. Won't you think that if you're number 1 in the world, you already know how to play tennis, you don't need a coach anymore? Yeah. No, it's the other way around, guys. It's the other way around. Those who understand that performance matters, those are hired coaches. Those that are not having success are not having success because they don't understand the power of a coach or a mentor. That's the key thing. I belong to an entrepreneurs organization with a bunch of other business owners. The first thing I noticed when I joined that group is that, and I talked to people, everyone above $10 million in revenue had at every given time multiple consultants and coaches working on their company, helping them to take their company to the next level. And the reason they were at 10 million above is because of these guys. And everyone was struggling in the 6 figures was there because they thought they don't need a coach. So it's the exact opposite. You're thinking like, oh, coach, blah, blah, blah. No, I will not, Michelle and I know this, I will not do anything anymore, anything new, without immediately finding the best coach out there and hiring them. So in fact, my wife just signed up for a coaching program, $25,000, 4 meetings a year of 1 day each. Wow. That's it, 25 grand. And it's on top of it, it's in Chicago. And so she has to fly there from Arizona on her own expenses. So the overall cost is going to be like $30,000 for 4 one-day meetings, not even one-to-one, in a group with a guy that can just help us get to the next level. Like, we're doing this, we constantly have things. We paid this year, we're paying about well over $100,000 for mentors and coaches in our business to keep us at the top and keep us even going higher.
Yeah, it's crucial that you invest in your education. I do that a lot. I pay for mentors and coaches and flying all over the country. What is an example of one of your students that, gets coaching from you, that you kind of took them from the beginning roots all the way to like the next level, from, starting out to...
I'm going to give you 2 examples. One of them is a guy by the name of John. He lives in Texas. He had a well-paying position in a car dealership, and he just hated it. He was there 5-6 days a week for 12 hours a day. It started at 10 in the morning, would not come home until 10 o'clock at night. I mean, what life is that? It doesn't matter what you earn, but you have time. When his wife had a different job, but she left at 7:30 in the morning. So when do they even see each other? Yeah. Anyway, so he started this, and the challenge there was obviously his time schedule. So we automated and outsourced almost everything in the business, because we have it lined up such that we have an online service that you can get your lists that you mail to people, list of the people that we believe don't want their properties anymore. We have a mailing house that you can send out the letters. We have a call center that you can, not we have it, but we have an arrangement with a call center that knows us very well, that our students can have an account with, and that takes the phone calls. Right? Then so all of these pieces can be automated. So he automated all of those plus a few extra pieces. And in the first 18 months, he was able to make almost $200,000. Wow. And as a result of that, he quit his job.
Wow. Wow.
Another example is a guy that is a dentist that sold his practice after 6 months of doing this. Just done enough deals, he sold his practice. He went full time now. Another example is a guy that has all he's ever done. He's done 50 or 60 deals where he only made $4,000 a piece. But you add it up, right? You do that in the first 6 to 9 months, and he got inducted in the Hall of Fame because of that. And he's doing now the same level of deals or even more. And obviously was able to quit his job. Another guy, that's actually our biggest fish ever. He's a very experienced. He exemplifies what I just talked about. John is his name. It seems to be the Johns are doing well. John, he also lives in Texas, but he does deals in other places of the country. He was already a successful house flipper, house rehabber, multifamily investor. So he heard about our stuff, and he signed up for coaching. Now, why in the world would he need coaching or mentoring if he already is a professional real estate? Well, the same reason I paid $80,000 as an escrow deposit, and we pay $100,000 a year to different organizations and mentors to keep learning more, because he realized this is a different technique than anything else. Mm-hmm. So in order to learn this properly, he needed to be into mentoring. So he paid the mentoring. In his mentorship, he only did 3 deals. Right? Only relatively, because we're used to people doing a ton of deals in our world. But he only did 3 deals. These 3 deals made him about twice what he paid for mentoring. So his investment was back. He was happy. But what he really was out to is learn the system. So he learned the system, and then he went back home and he put the system in place. And since then, in about 2 3/4 years, he has made $2.9 million using the system.
Wow.
Not bad, as one of the 4 things he does. But that's it. I mean, is that normal? No. I mean, we have many students who do nothing, right? Now, usually not if they're mentoring. If they're mentoring, we get them to success. But if they just get a course and don't do anything with it, I'm sorry to say, nothing's going to happen. Mm-hmm. You still got to put in the work.
Yeah, it's key, and like I said, it's first taking action and getting it done.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, doing the work. The nice part is that while this is of course still work, it is much less work than many other methods, because again, you don't have to look at a house, you don't have to estimate repairs, you don't have to meet contractors, you don't have to compare quotes, you just estimate value. 5 minutes. Then you go make an offer, get it accepted, list the property, and go sell it. It's as simple as that.
So your system, so it does it include all of those things with the call center, or that's like kind of additional stuff, or is that part of your program that a student can buy?
Student needs to our customer, the student who buys the course, they need to pay for their own call center minutes that they use up, of course, right? Because it's a third party. We just use them ourselves, and we set up basically a system with them that when people go to them through our link, then they know that they come from us, and they can literally set them up within half a day. They're ready to take phone calls. So we have students that get our course. The next day they get a list. The following day they send out the letters. The following day the phone calls start coming in. The call center takes the phone calls because in one of these 3-4 days they already set it up. The 2-3 days later they make the first offers, and quite potentially within a matter of another week or so they have their first accepted offer. So it just depends on how quickly you act. The data is there, the systems are there. So yes, the system includes the link over to the call center. You set up your own account with them. The program includes the link over to the mailing house. We have found a mailing house that a lot of mailing houses have a minimum requirement of 10,000 letters that you need to send out. Well, we found a mailing house that is so sophisticated that you can send out as little as 50 letters with them, which is really cool because we don't have to send out tens of thousands. We send out, when we go on a buying spree, and we sometimes go on a buying spree and buy like 100 properties in like 3 months. We might send out 5,000 letters a month over 3 months in order to get to that limit, to that number. So there's no need. If you want to do 2-3 deals a month, you can literally do this also at your kitchen table. Send out 100 letters a week and send out 200 letters a week. And right there, use a printer. Here's my printer, right? Use a printer like this and just get it done. It's not hard. There's different steps than in house flipping. The sequence is kind of different, but it's simple. And then yes, all of that is including the link to the call center, the links to the mailing house, other resources, the letter that we use, the letter that gets our students a 5 to 15% response rate. That one is included. The contracts that we use. I just paid one of my attorneys $3,800 a few weeks ago to update one of our contracts. Guess what? That contract is in the program, right? So students out there, they don't have to go spend tens of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars on an attorney. You can just use the contracts, and if you want to have an attorney review it, and for $300-400, they make a change to it that perhaps makes him happier. But our contracts are used by our students all over the country successfully, to the tunes of deals that are being submitted literally on a daily basis.
Wow. Yeah, I just like that you kind of put everything together. So for people that are, working full time and want to get into this business or do it part time, and they have all the tools available to them, so they can just get it started and then start working on the deals immediately, compared to other types of businesses where you kind of got to learn, you got to buy inventory, you got to do this, a whole bunch of different stuff. It's a whole bunch of different steps. With this is a little bit more get right into it. It's an easy thing to understand and learn. And I'm actually going to start really looking into this because like I said, never thought about it in this capacity. You kind of really got me excited about it. So besides from like doing all this work, and I know you really don't probably call it work, but it's, I know you're very close with family and you like going back to Germany. What are the kind of stuff that you like to do in your personal life?
Well, I mean, we have one daughter. She's 11. She's still a big daddy's girl. So as long as that lasts, I just love hanging out with that one. I love hanging out with my wife. My wife and I were one of these weird couples that you usually get us only as a package deal. So it's like people don't refer to us as Jack and Michelle. They refer to us as Jack and Michelle.
Yeah.
So because we go places together, we hang out together, we run our business together, we work from home together, we see each other 24/7 a day almost. We We just love that. So what typically happens is I don't have any meetings or calls before 9 a.m. So that allows us to get up in the morning, get our daughter ready to school. I usually drop her off at school. Then we come home, we have a little chat, my wife and I, and then at 9 o'clock we sit down on the computer, we do a few things until usually about 2:30 in the afternoon. And then we go, either she goes or I go pick up our daughter. By 3:30 she's back. And then we hang out. I mean, we help her with homework. We go run around in the backyard with the dog. We have a playground in the backyard. So we just go up in the playground. We just horse around, right? We bought these bubble soccer balls. They're like bubbles around you. They're really fun. We can bump with it into each other. And then we usually, I don't know, we go for dinner in the evening and we go watch a movie, or we in our house, we have like a screening room, kind of a movie room. And we just go close the blinds and just turn on our 75-inch TV and then just watch a nice movie over there, or things like that. And on the weekends we go hiking. We live 2 minutes away from a hiking trail. So we like hiking. I personally like reading. I like taking naps for that matter. We just love hanging out with friends and things like that. It's all about the family at this point.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. What type of books?
And we like to travel. We like to travel.
Of course,
so we spend literally 3 months of the year traveling around the world.
Wow. Well, what are you reading lately, and what type of books?
Good question. Actually, interestingly, even though I'm not a big fan, I'm listening to an audiobook by Grant Cardone. I find him to be like too boisterous, but at the same time, it's called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And I find it has some good things in there. What else I'm reading? I just got the book Dare to Lead, Brave Work or something by Brené Brown. I'm listening to a book called The Diamond Cutter, which is a business book on business strategy by a Zen Buddhist monk. Interesting kind of combination. I like to read. I'm reading partly. I always read like 5 books at the same time, just depending on the mood. I'm reading a book on negotiation, but never split the difference by Chris Voss. And so it's always kind of different things. And then sometimes I just read something stupid that just makes me laugh.
Very nice. So what's kind of like, I know you said, what are there any other morning routines that you have? You said your day kind of starts at 9. I mean, you obviously have staff in the office and stuff like that. I mean, managing.
They're all virtual, but yes, we have staff.
Wow. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I like, that I find very attractive, is just setting up your business where you can be kind of virtual and systemizing everything, so you're not really like have to physically be there. And then if you want to take a month trip to Germany or wherever you want, any parts of the world, you can do that. So that's kind of key.
Yeah.
And that's the goal to get to.
Yeah. So in terms of morning routines, it's not that much. I mean, I like to do a little quiet time, a little meditation or so. I like to put in a workout. Although since we moved to the new house, we haven't found a new place to work out in. So I haven't been working out for the last 3 months or so in preparation for that. But we're probably building out one of the rooms in the house to be a home gym. And then it's easier again. But I'm not one of these miracle morning guys. I'm just not a morning person. Like literally, you got to honor. At some point of time, I realized I got to honor who I am. I got to honor my body. I got to honor my own internal DNA and my own internal clock. And I tried getting up at 5 a.m. a bunch of times, and I realized I was miserable all day long. My eyes were hanging down here. At 11 a.m, I was like crawling around. I needed the nap. I was like, this is not what I'm more made for. So I like to sleep as long as I can. I like to take naps. I like to not work too hard. I like to be organized so that stuff does happen. I like to have my team do a lot of things and empower them and authorize them and give them guidelines on how to do that. But then I just need to check into with them every once in a while and so on. And they have more fun because they get to actually run the show instead of me. And it's a win-win for everyone, because who wants to work by having to be micromanaged for every step on the way? Nobody.
Absolutely.
But if you have true liberty in your job, then to do what you think is right and to move things and change things and decide things, well, then you're going to enjoy your job most cases. So we allowed our team to do that. But so basically, I after bringing back to school, I might just have a small breakfast and a little chat with my wife, and then I start working. But it's like a little quiet time, a little meditation, a little reading time, and in between somewhere. That's kind of things I try to make space for. But I'm not like the miracle morning guys, because even our dog is not a morning person. Like we open her crate in the morning, she just looks at us and she lays back down. She doesn't come out for another 20 minutes. So we all like to sleep in. That's okay.
Well, it's good. Like I said, it's the way you design your business, and it should work the way you want it to work. So that's the kind of the main point of it.
Having said that, we try not to do business after 4, 4:30, or 5 p.m. anymore. We're done. Like we put our offices far away. The house that we have, but my office is far away from the rest of the house. My wife's office is upstairs, far away from the rest of the house. Once we leave those offices, everything is left behind, and we try to be the family. That's
good. That's very good. So how do we get in touch? I know you have a course and you have a website and stuff like that. Would you share with us some how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we have a website. I don't know if I can mention it. It's www.landprofitgenerator.com. So landprofitgenerator.com is our brand. Is what we do. We flip land. We generate profits with land. So if you go to landprofitgenerator.com, you can find out more about it. There's some free videos and things that you can watch, and training classes. And then also we have a Facebook group, and the Facebook group is called Land Profit Generator. Surprise, right? Land Profit Generator Real Estate Group. And you join that, it's free. And a lot of our successful students are hanging out there and sharing deals like literally on an ongoing basis. If I don't go on the Facebook group for 2 days, I usually have to scroll back and just like see like success story. Like I think last Friday I went on there after not having been on there for 2 days because I was traveling. And there was like 5 new success stories from brand new students that I just posted it. So all in a matter of like 2.5 days. So this is just come up there, ask question. It's the only thing we ask is like we say no complaining, because it is work, of course, right? No complaining and no spamming. So if you want to sell something, sell it somewhere else. Don't come into our group, because we'll kick people like that out. But it's a true group where people help each other succeed in our land flipping method.
Wow. Well, like I said, I appreciate you giving us some insight. And like I said, I learned a lot. Land wasn't something that I really thought about, and hearing how easy it is to get into it and profit from it and get a good return on it is something a lot of people need to be considering. So I appreciate you taking this time again, and we'll look forward to connecting with you in the future and talk with you about additional subjects.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm excited to have been here. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, and take care, and talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at DwaineLClarke.com, as well as find us on Facebook for more useful content and resources.